Well, Halloween time has finally invaded the Magic Kingdom. We're going to have a discussion about that. Also, we have an interview with some folks from the Sweep Spot podcast. And, of course, we're going to talk about the best snacks at Disney World tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for August 6, 2023. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you, as always, for being with us. We really appreciate you. If you have not already, business out of the way, please subscribe to WDWNT TV for more great content. And, of course, please give us a thumbs up, as it helps people to find us. And it really makes sure that our ego's in check. That's really the most important part. If you could do that, that would be fantastic. Tonight's panel starting with Allison. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Rob?
Peachy keen. Stephanie?
Hey, everybody.
You've already got some Halloween going on. Very, very cool. And down in the Square 4, it's Shannon. What's going on?
I'm just getting rumbly in my tumbly, ready to talk about snacks, Rob.
Beautiful. Love that. I was thinking about the very first time that you were actually on ParksCenter and you were like, you used the line from the Muppets.
Yeah.
The union sent me.
Yeah, Debbie was sick, so the union sent me. Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful as always. Thank you guys so much for being with us. And tonight we're going to run through some parks news. Halloween, it's getting spooky out there. There is a lot of spooky time stuff going on in the Magic Kingdom. I remember that there was this TikTok. I think it was last year maybe, or no, it was the year of COVID when this woman was walking into the Magic Kingdom crying. Do you guys remember that? She was crying because she's like, it's not spooky. So, I think we've all been there before. We feel that. You can look down and see all the banners are up. We've got some scarecrows in the town square. I want to ask you, starting with Shannon, is Halloween your favorite time to be in the parks?
Oh, absolutely. It's the best time to go for decorations. I believe the party is far superior to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. And I love that you can celebrate it for extra long. They're really making sure that we're just starting that right off the bat in August. To be honest, Christmas is normally my favorite holiday over Halloween in the real world. But Disney does Halloween right, and I love it.
None of us are here for the real world. None of us. Nobody here. No. We always mean Disney when we talk about things like that. Allison, you probably saw the news that the Not So Scary Halloween party has started selling out this year. Is that a big party for you to go to? And do you think that they're really going to bring it this year? Because, of course, Oogie Boogie is the one we brag about. How do you feel about Not So Scary?
Oh, it's also my favorite. The decorations are also my favorite. I actually sort of miss when Not So Scary was like less well known and less popular from like 10, 15 years ago. They do so much more now, but it was like a little more quaint before. And now it's like sort of a party on steroids, but I'm here for it. I've got tickets and I'm excited to go later this month, and really glad that I bought them ahead of time, because normally I wait until I get to I get to my trip and then I purchase tickets, and they hadn't sold out before, at least during my dates. So really glad I got those secured. Rob, you are muted.
How dare you?
Ouch.
How dare you? Yes, I was muted. Because I was looking up some stuff, because I know you're a huge merch fan, and I found that when you go to the party, there's a lot of stuff that you can buy that's featuring the Sanderson sisters. So
I'm sorry. In what world, by the way, scroll up. In what world is that top up there a fitted tee? The first one up there, the black one?
No. It's got like a boat neck or something.
In Disney World? That's my my take on that one.
I want none of these.
No. Okay. So Stephanie, your take on all of it, Halloween or the Halloween party, how you feeling?
Got my shirt on, got my bags almost packed. I'm going to be there opening night for the inaugural night for the Halloween party. So I'm hopeful that they still have some of their overlays that they like to do. I think that's really fun. And the other thing I really love versus the Christmas party, you can dress up in your Christmas wear and everything, but I love to dress up in costume. So we're going to have a big group of 8 or 9 people, and we're going to be rocking it out.
You're going to be You're not going to tell us what you're
Cast
going to be?
cast of Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, okay. All right. And
Oh.
you're going to be Alice?
The Mad Hatter. No.
Oh, okay. Um, on and adjacent to Halloween, obviously, is the Haunted Mansion. We talked about it last week about the placement of the Hatbox Ghost and where that's going to be, and discussed our disagreement with the placement of it. But the movie came out and apparently not so well received. Did anybody else on this panel besides me go see it? Fantastic. This is exactly the focus group that Disney was looking for. Huge Disney fans, huge Disney park fans. Didn't bother go see the Haunted Mansion movie. Fantastic. Love it. Anyway, moving on. They have some of the props, which you wouldn't know about, but there was some of the props, including Madame Leota's dress is now on display at Disney World, at Disneyland, actually, in the main area where you come in for to go into Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. So that's there. We did see that the Donald Duck chair, I guess as they're calling it, has been removed from the Magic Kingdom so that they can put the Hatbox Ghost in. And this great guest experience with a black curtain and darkened room has been put together. So dark that our photographers couldn't get a picture, but there's the chair as it usually sits. So this goes into further the fact that this is where the Hatbox Ghost is going to go. When it comes to this kind of stuff, and I'm going to go back to you on this, Stephanie, when you say you love Halloween stuff, do you love the Haunted Mansion, and are you all about like their merch? You're clearly not about the movie, but are you about the merch?
It's hard for me to go to a movie about Halloween when it's 104 degrees, but I'll go to the party. I'll go to the party. It's 97 degrees in Florida. Okay, so I love the Haunted Mansion. It's one of our all-time favorites. Growing up, it would be either that or Pirates had to be our first ride when we walked into the Magic Kingdom. So it's a classic. Like we discussed last week, I'm disappointed in the placement of the Hatbox Ghost right there. I think it takes away from the illusion of the floating candelabra and everything in the endless hallway. And of course, the chair is iconic too. Take your sip. But yeah, so I wish that was back. As far as the merchandise goes, if the movie didn't do well, I don't know why the merchandise would. But if the wallpaper, I think if it comes from the actual ride, there's more of a likelihood that it's going to sell out. Like the wallpaper purses, those look great. The Dooney and Burke that look like wallpaper, and it's Jamie Lee Curtis. Her dress is beautiful and everything. I just don't know if I want a T-shirt with her face on it.
I don't like this.
Oh, Reed.
So this is what you're talking about, this Loungefly, right?
Yes.
This Loungefly with
Loungefly, but they had a Dooney a few years back.
Yeah. Well, this is the one that people can afford. It's the Loungefly version. So the one other thing I wanted to talk about with this is that in conjunction, I assume, not just with Halloween, but with the Haunted Mansion movie, is they've taken a third crack at this tiki mug with the Hatbox Ghost. I kind of freaking love this. I don't know, Shannon, do you partake in tiki mugs or not really?
I partake in them on my sister's behalf because her and my brother-in-law enjoy collecting them. They have a beautiful setup of tiki mugs. So when they dropped Jose, I happened to be in the parks at the time, and I ran over and waited in a very long line, and it was worth it. I don't think the Hatbox Ghost mug is going to hang around for long. So if you're there, I suggest you go swipe it right away.
Yeah, Wednesday, August 9th at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time in California is where you're going to find this one, and it's a limit of 2 mugs per person per transaction. So if you are an eBay reseller like Allison, what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to buy a couple, and then you're going to go back to the back of the line and then go back through again. So she can walk you through it. It's fine. So I do think it's funny. I do think it's funny. 11:30 in the morning, and we're buying tiki mugs, but whatever. It's okay. Let's talk about Elsa because I cannot let it go. Hey, that's funny, right? They've changed the costume. So we know that Fantasmic is down for an extended period of time in California. Very sad about that. But they have changed. They've done a transformation. Have you guys watched this video, the transformation video?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask Allison about this one first and get your thoughts on it. Because I have thoughts, but I want to get parental thoughts first.
Parental thoughts. No, I think it's really cool. I'm a little like perplexed, I think, as to why the choreography is the way it is, because it's like very obvious that like you can see the pants under with the slit or whatever, because they just have her doing these like weird like squat lunge things, and if they just like changed the way she moved, I think like it would close that gap up really easily. But like the dress on its own is amazing. I think the reveal is really cool with like the puff up smoke or whatever, and then she comes out and she's wearing this, and certainly more recognizable than what they had her wearing before. So it's like, oh, this is clearly Elsa. So I really like it.
And that's I mean, that's my question about it, is it recognizable? Because when they go through and you see them at the end and they're all on the ship, Snow White is always the same. It's always Snow White. If it's a little girl who's never seen a 1938 movie with Snow White, and I say little girl, but my son, he loves Snow White. But when this outfit comes through, it's not the traditional Elsa. That's, I guess, the thing that I was asking, is when they go through and make these modifications. And Stephanie, I don't know if your kids get thrown off by that kind of stuff, but are they like, who is that lady with the white hair, or do they like, oh, that's clearly Elsa?
No, it's Elsa, 100%. Frozen 2 in our house is just as singable, if not more, than Frozen 1. And they watch it on repeat, and I have every costume. So yeah, it's definitely identifiable, and I think it's great. I when you're talking about merch, well, gosh, you got to have both outfits. She comes out in the first one, then she changes to the second. So go buy them quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Allison, what did you call what she was doing? A what lunge?
It's like a squat lunge. She's like, okay, she's doing like in like second position. She's doing like a plie, and it's like very like, I don't know. This is like Warrior 2 over there. I don't know what she's doing, but like if they
this one looks like the Michael Jackson Beat It to me. Like,
yes.
No, Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit.
It's a little Saturday Night Fever, and it's like
Yeah.
and there's just like, it's very dynamic movement. I get it, but they could have done, instead of so much lower body movement, more upper body movement, and then you wouldn't be distracted by what's underneath the dress. Anyway, it's nitpicky, but it's really just like, what was the choreographer thinking? Were they not aware of what the costuming would be? I don't know.
Shannon, how many of these costumes do you have?
It's a big zero for all the times that I go to the character meet and greets that I love so much. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, just checking, making sure.
Yeah.
Nah, it's fine. You're a little bougie. I get it. Let's move on to something a little more bougie to meet your taste, which is the Disney Cruise Line has had some upgrades and changes that have been happening. And honestly, the Wi-Fi thing I get. Like, that's the thing that I understand. So the cost of Wi-Fi has gone up. Surprise, surprise. Did Wi-Fi get more expensive, or do they just find a way to take more money from people? Is that probably what's happening here? Prices increasing on board for internet packages. So I'm looking down at these package options. Stay connected. And do you really? All right, let me stop for a second. Do you really want to be connected on a cruise? Don't you love the excuse of saying, sorry, it's not. I can't. You can't hear you. What? I'm going through a tunnel.
Rob, come on! Like, all the bloggers that they're paying to go on those cruises, they need to have that connectivity.
Okay. How much are they paying you to go? Hashtag influencer.
Oh, I'm too honest.
Stay connected is $18 per day, or $16 if you buy in advance, and then the basic surf is $28 a day, or $24 if you buy in advance. But the premium surf, which I know, Stephanie, your family has to have the premium surf when you go on, is $42, or a way affordable $34. Shouldn't this be? I don't know. I feel like this should be included, but I mean, you'd have to buy the premium, wouldn't you?
No, I mean, I'm with you, Rob. I'm saying, like, I'm not on Instagram and that kind of thing. If you are, then you got to have it. But if you don't, just take your own pictures and enjoy it when you go through shutters at the end and get all of your stuff together. But yeah, I'm like, let's unplug.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it depends on your stateroom too. If you're in one of the higher level staterooms, like, included in the price.
Yeah. So the other thing that they said is that, and Allison, this one's coming to you, Disney Cruise Line spa pre-booking now time-based. I mean, this could have gone to you or Shannon. You didn't know, but I need to know why I care about the cruise line bookings now being time-based.
Okay, so it makes it a little bit easier for like people who want to change what service they're going to have, so they don't have to like cancel and try to rebook. I'm a little curious as to how it's going to work with staffing, because I'm not sure that every single person that works in the spa on the cruise ship can do every single treatment. So if you're changing from one thing to another, it might not be something that the person that they had assigned to you like can do. But I don't know, maybe they're trained in absolutely everything. I think it also makes sense because it's like you don't always like go through the brochure, or like sometimes you go and you talk to the people there and there's like a special treatment that maybe you want to do and you didn't realize and you'd like to change it. So it sort of makes it a little bit easier to facilitate that. It's like, I think a minor change, but it makes somewhat sense. I just hope they have like however they're managing staffing and down so that doesn't get confusing for them.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I'll keep that in mind for my next booking. Let's move on to hotel updates, because I do have some questions about this one too. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is we did a room review on our website, if you haven't seen it yet, of the new boardwalk rooms. And I'm not sure what I think about them. Honestly, I'm not messing around here. I don't know what I think about these rooms. They definitely look clean. And you know, they've got the new flooring. But and Stephanie, I'm going to come to you with this one because I feel like you definitely have opinions when it comes to this stuff, especially with your beloved Grand Floridian. But this room looks oddly spacious and a little bit like I don't know. Tell me what you think about this. What's your take on it?
They did say that particular room that they toured was larger than the standard kind of room. So it was a kind of an odd shaped part of the hotel. So that's probably why it looks very spacious. I'll just say one thing. I'm glad bolsters are coming back. I'm ready for the little overlay at the end of the bed to come back as well, because I think that gives so much character. I'm glad that they have, yes, there you go. I'm glad that they have the character silhouettes around and the turn of the century looking, you know, photographs of Mickey and Minnie, but the pictures. Yep, there you go. I thought that the bathrooms look very stark and sparse and just kind of like, you know, a Residence Inn sort of. And you're paying like, what are you paying? Close to probably $600 or more upwards, depending on when you're staying there at the boardwalk. And I just feel like you need more. I just feel like bring back the toiletry items. Fine, have them secured to the wall, but bring back the ones that you can take as well.
No, that's never going to happen. Shannon, is this the kind of room that you want to be in?
You know, yes and no. I have very mixed feelings, especially about the floor change, because although I understand having those, you know, luxury vinyl, I guess, floors is cleaner, easier to clean, it makes those rooms so noisy. And may your soul be okay if you have a connecting door that's not to someone you know, because you can hear, you might as well be a part of the conversation. I recommend with these floor changes that if you don't want a connecting door, to call ahead and request it. It's a nightmare.
You mean you don't knock on the door and then introduce yourself to your neighbor in your Disney hotel room? How it's questions. A community. It's a community. They're sitting there going, should we go to Casey's Corner? And you're banging on the door going, no, don't do it.
Get the nuggets.
Yeah, exactly. Allison, for you, I wanted to ask you about the Grand Floridian is going through an extended refurbishment. It says that the lobby exit to the pool area is now closed. Do you think, this is my personal opinion, I don't know how you feel about it, don't you think that if you're taking a premium hotel like this and you're shutting down so many parts of it, there should be some sort of a discount? Am I being ridiculous?
Of course I feel that way. I think like most people who are going to go stay there aren't like aware that there's going to be this level of construction and this level of like obstruction, because like that is the main door you're going to come in and out of when you're leaving your room. That's how I would come from like my room into to get to the monorail, to get to dining. So it's like, I don't know, it's like very inconvenient. And people are not aware that this is happening, and they get there and there's no benefit to this. There's no, like, they don't even give you those little pins anymore that's like under construction or whatever, and apologize. They used to do that at like moderate hotels when there was like a little bit of construction. They don't do that anymore. I mean, I never wanted them to begin with, but at least it's a gesture. So sure, certainly there should be, but as long as people keep like booking those rooms, and I guess they're like, there's no incentive because people are still coming.
I was exactly today years old when I learned that they had construction pins. I did not know that
Oh,
was a thing. So
yeah.
yeah, I have a problem with, like, when you go into the Grand Flirting right now, there are walls, and it tells you all the wonderful things that are coming, not for you, but for somebody else. So
Yes.
I always used to joke when we didn't go as much as I do now when I was a little kid, when it would have those signs up that said this area is being refurbished for your future enjoyment. It should really say for someone else's future enjoyment. This area is being refurbished. You can't come in, but someday someone else is going to have a great time at Moana Journey of Water. Um, Speaking of things that have been closed, Awakenings, the Tree of Life Awakenings is finally coming back in the fall. It didn't occur to me that because it's daylight savings and it's lighter out, that we wouldn't be able to have at least like some kind of a dusk twilight Tree of Life Awakenings. But because the Animal Kingdom closes earlier and because it's lighter for longer, we haven't had that, and it's not coming back until November. Stephanie, is this something like, is it a big deal to you, or are you like, if I'm there during the fall, it's great, and if not, I don't really care?
I actually love this. This is one of my favorite things about Christmas time and Animal Kingdom. The Merry Menagerie is beautiful, and it's fun to watch that too. And the puppets that they bring out are great. But this is a cute little series of stories, and they're all about the different animals that come out during the season, and I just love it. It's just fun and sweet, and if you can stay and watch it, definitely do it.
Yeah. Allison, have you ever seen Tree of Life Awakenings?
Not in person. It came out, and my daughter cannot stay up late enough, even when this happens, like a little bit earlier. Um, Not quite making it to like fireworks and stuff. So I love it. I've watched the videos multiple times because I really think this is charming and like weirdly better than the nighttime show they spent, I don't know, like a decade and a
Yes.
half trying to open.
Are you talking about
So I
Rivers of
love it.
Light? Are you talking about Rivers of Light? Is that the one?
The nighttime show that shall not be named, and this one's far better, um, from what I can see on my laptop when I watch it. But yeah, I'm hopefully this next trip in
Maybe
October,
you're talking about Jungle
she'll
Book
stay up.
Alive with Magic. Maybe that's the one you're talking about. Everybody loved that one. This one will come back November 5th, though, which again seems like you should have it sooner, but
Yeah.
November 5th, Tree of Life Awakenings returns. I'm going to skip over to our next topic, which is Figment. Figment, perhaps you've heard of him. Small purple dragon. Everybody loves Figment. There's a Figment Magic Band Plus that just came out on Shop Disney. Allison, if you're looking to spend your money on stuff, there's also a new
It's like
exclusive pin.
$54 or something insane.
Oh, so you've already bought it. Great. Um, no, that's awesome. But the thing that we heard at D23 is that there was going to be a Figment meet and greet, and we don't know quite yet what that's going to be. But now we have been told that they've filed permits for this Figment meet and greet. I hope it's not this one. I hope it's not full size
No.
Figment here. I'm assuming it's not this one with the puppet. I assume it's somewhere in between with something using some of the character brought to life technology that they've been bringing into the parks. But Shannon, is this a big deal to you to be able to meet Figment? I mean, or are you like, am I coming to the wrong person again because you're not the meet and greet person? Will you make an exception for Figment?
Yeah, I think I would make an exception. I want my socks to be blown off because I want this to be some kind of a amazing piece of technology. I'm thinking about the baby Groot that they had that dances and sings, meets interacting Mickey that they've since gotten rid of. I would love to see some kind of animatronic that interacts with you in some way that can respond. I'm probably asking way too much, but I'm going to throw it out there in the world because you never know what can happen.
Yeah, I just hope that when they do it, that they have him in different outfits like this. I hope that
Oh,
we're going to be able
absolutely.
to get this to meet him in his winter sweater in all his glory. But honestly, I'm expecting something like you said, like a little bit more like the Groot situation. But I assume this will be as you exit Journey, like Journey into Imagination with Figment. I assume that that's where it's going to be. Stephanie, do your kids get into Figment, or is it? I always feel like it's like the fanboy thing, but no.
Well, the fanboy thing is to know the original ride, which my kids, born way after that, they don't know anything but this current iteration, and they love it. I know, hot take, but they love it. And we sing the song coming off, and yes, we do it every single time and multiple times in a row because, hey, there's no line, right? So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the meme. I remember Dreamfinder. I do, as a child, the original one. Yeah.
Wow, you're so old.
Yes, I am.
Awkward. Let's move. Let's move on to a segment that I always like to call "It Came from the Parks" because it feels like that there's always some drama that's happening. This week, I could only drum up 2 pieces of drama. So I'm gonna roll off the 2 pieces of drama, and then I'm gonna let each of you say your piece about one of them. But they're interesting, though. I think that this first one is that a lawsuit was filed after a man falls in the haunted mansion at the Magic Kingdom, and the second one is a woman is stuck between Walt Disney World monorail doors, now suing for injuries. Cast members did not help in any way. What cast members did she think would be there? Because a lot of times, I guess when you see those movies with the train conductor, like the Polar Express movie, they move from train to train. I don't remember the last time I saw a cast member inside a train car. But I'm gonna let you guys talk about this. Stephanie, which one do you want to talk about?
Oh, let's do the monorail. So I think probably they were at the station, obviously, as people were loading and everything. So the doors closed on her somehow. I'm assuming that she's wanting the cast members that are there to facilitate people getting on and off to come rushing over and manually opening the doors. I know there's a way to do that. They do have a key that they can manually do. So maybe that's what has gotten her. I don't know what body part got stuck. I don't think it says, has been, maybe it's a knee or something like that, but I don't think she's asking too much. She's not suing for, $5 million.
Yeah, I mean, $50,000, not bad. Ganondola, get him on it. So, Shannon, what about you? Which one?
I'm going to go Mansion because I remember a few years ago when Tom was live streaming and he was boarding Peter Pan and someone did an e-stop and he had made a comment like, oh my goodness, I almost fell over because he was boarding. Obviously, the little ramp is moving. So when it stops abruptly, you don't expect it and, you have forward motion. So I'm not surprised that this happened at the mansion. It sounded like it was the exact same situation. The walkway was moving, the ride vehicle was moving, he was boarding, and the ride abruptly stopped, which caused him to fall. So all I have to say is I feel like this probably happens more often than not. If anyone's been to Disney World in the last year or two, there's been a considerable amount of downtime on rides, stopping, starting, so no surprises there. I guess he is owed something in this case.
Okay. I'm very interested to see. That's why I saved you for last. Which one our resident lawyer is going to pick on here. So, Allison, what you got?
Let me talk briefly about both. I think so. On the face of both, we don't have that much information about injuries, which is not that surprising because these are just initial pleadings with the court. You don't have to give a whole bunch of discovery, a whole bunch of medical documents, and you don't have to describe in great detail. But you do have to give some kind of range of what you're suing for. These are not outrageous relatively large claims, either one of them. So I imagine these things are going to settle and settle pretty quickly. Both of them sound very valid. I think it's a great point that this woman has, that several Good Samaritan guests are trying to open the doors for her, but there's not a cast member in sight. And this was going on for quite some time, according to the complaint. And the e-stop situation is like, yeah, if they're about to hit that, they shouldn't have somebody on the belt at that time. And they certainly should warn somebody or have some ability for him to brace before they're hitting the button. So seems like reasonable claims, and seems like things that, yeah, even Disney Legal will probably just settle, especially given the dollar amounts that they're asking for somewhere like 25 or something for each of them. And then hopefully these are very, very unlikely, I think, to ever go to trial, although trial dates have been set.
This has been Allison's legal perspective. Hey, so let's move on. One last thing before we go to break and come back is it's World Princess Week is coming up again. Can you believe it's already World Princess Week again? I mean, I didn't even have it in my Outlook, and it just snuck up on me again. But August 20th is going to be the beginning of World Princess Week, and of course there are lots of treats to be had. So, for you to celebrate with your family and friends, Beaches and Cream has this monstrosity coming up, the milkshake with the mandatory cupcake in the top. This is who we've become as a society. That's great. That's Elsa again. This is, some of these things look fantastic. I assume that since Stephanie has already said she does not do Instagram, you won't be running away. This is definitely the Snow White cupcake. You can tell by its look, as opposed to the Elsa one, which they have to probably put a picture of Elsa on top so you know who it is. Maybe, I don't know. Is this something that you get into at all, Stephanie? Or I mean, obviously we haven't had this for that long, but it's kind of cool that they've got a whole week of princess stuff. Yes.
Yes, I've been known to buy a cupcake or two. What I like is when they have the Snow White cupcake that has the apple pie filling. It looks like the apple. I like it all to be, together, like thematic. I don't like it when it's just the Cinderella one with the buttercream. It's just straight white buttercream. Maybe that's still, thematic for her. But anyway, it's, it's interesting. I like how they do it, but I would like to have more. Let's do more. Yep.
Speaking of snacks, we're going to have a conversation with this team about the best snacks at Disney World. So if you guys can go into your quarantine spots, think about it a lot. What are the best ones that you can recommend? The rules are, and there are rules to this one, it should be something that is either at a cart or a counter service that you could go up and get at Disney World. Because I know that there's some at Disneyland, they're a little bit different, but what we want to guide people on is what do you think are the must-dos at Disney World? But before that, we're going to have a great interview with some gentlemen that created a book called Cleaning the Kingdom, and also have a podcast called The Sweep Spot. And we will be right back with Ken and Lynn to talk to them for a little bit. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more ParksCenter. Hang on. This is Disney Entertainment News Today. I'm Rob Whiteside, and here now are the top Disney entertainment stories.
For the latest in Disney Entertainment News, watch Disney Entertainment News Today, hosted by Rob Whiteside. From movies and series news to stage shows, books, video games, and more. New episodes drop every Tuesday on WWNT.tv.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. Thank you guys so much for being with us on your Sunday night. We appreciate it. If you haven't already, please give us some thumbs up, as it helps people to find us. One of the things that we love to do is kind of reach out to our brethren in the Disney community, and I have had happened upon these gentlemen, and I was like, oh my God, I love this story. These two gentlemen have written a book called Cleaning the Kingdom, and they have a podcast called The Sweep Spot. Please welcome Ken and Lynn. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. Thank you guys for being here and for sitting in the wings while we talked gibberish about Parks news. I hope that wasn't too bad for you. But let me go to each of you individually and kind of ask you. So, Lynn, when you guys got started, you guys were both custodians at Disneyland. Were you guys there at the same time? And if so, is that like, did you meet there and go, hey, sometime we need to come back and do a podcast? And then Ken's like, what's a podcast? And you're like, I've been to the future. The podcast is fantastic. Tell me how you guys got started, Lynn.
So I started at Disneyland in 1998, and Ken started in 1990. So I met him when I started there, and we kind of both had a similar interest, like in Disneyland history and just behind the scenes things, there we would explore a little bit. But when Ken left in 2005, I left in 2007, and when I moved to Utah, I kind of had that absence of Disney in my life, and Disneyland, I should say. And so I thought I'd start a podcast, and we started that. I started that in 2011.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you guys were working there, and I guess, Ken, you were there first, I assume that you guys are Disneyland guys, right? So, Ken, I mean, had you been to Disney World before, or like were you like ride or die Disneyland?
No, I had been to Walt Disney World before starting work at Disneyland. In fact, I delayed starting work at Disneyland for a Walt Disney World trip. They were going to start me spring break, and I said, no, I'm going to Walt Disney World for spring break. So I started in the summer of 1990, and that was my second trip to Walt Disney World. But I grew up close to Disneyland, and so that was my primary Disney park, and grew up on the animation, some of the the Sunday night TV show, that sort of thing. So.
Gotcha. I'm going to kind of play my hand and say I was a Disney World cast member at the same time you were a Disneyland cast member. So just putting that out there. But I was in attractions. And one of the things that they've said in that I think it was Tony Baxter actually said in like one of the comments on the back of your book is that sometimes the experience of being like a Disney cast member is sort of like high school. I remember that I graduated from college, and the first day that I graduated, I drove down to Disney World to work there, and it felt like an extension of college because of the community that was there. And Ken, did you feel that when you were at Disneyland, like that it was just kind of a community at that time?
Yeah, I had started. I was still in high school, and I had the sense I had been a pass holder for about 5 years, and I really got the sense of community with some of the regular other pass holders and some of the cast members. I had befriended cast members by then, and so I was coming. It was like sort of joining the party, so to speak, and that was really interesting because back then Disneyland was still under its original management, the guys who had been there from the beginning. And we actually kind of cover that in the book, because we were there through a time of great transition. When you figure the span of 1990 to 2007, there's a lot that changed over that time.
Gotcha. Just out of curiosity, because we are all very nostalgic about Disney, was there something that was happening at Disneyland, an attraction, a show, something that happened while you were there that you loved that isn't there anymore? I'm just curious, like something that you missed greatly from Disneyland.
Yeah.
Lynn, do you want to take that one?
Country Bear Jamboree. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I just remember it as a child, and they took it out in 2001.
Yes, you remember exactly when in 2001?
Yeah.
It was like
September 10th.
September 9th.
Yeah.
It was like the last.
Was it really?
10th, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We thought we were bummed out about the Country Bears closing down. Little did we know.
Right.
But at least it still existed at the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and in Tokyo it exists there as well. But yeah, that is definitely one. I never got to see Disneyland's version. I have definitely ridden the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh and looked up to see the guys hanging up on the rafters that are still there as an homage to it.
Yes.
But yeah, that's so funny that you would say that. I honestly, I thought you guys were going to say People Mover, like legit. Like I thought that was the one you guys were going to say.
That's definitely, we definitely missed that. I have to say I like the Magic Kingdom version better. I mean, so smooth, and it goes faster and that sort of. But yeah, I do miss the Disneyland People Mover for sure.
Did either of you two do rocket rods ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We worked in there. We worked the rocket. We worked doing custodial work around the rocket rods, and we also we both got to ride it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's cool. And Lynn, would you say it was the best attraction that hardly ever happened?
Oh yeah. No, it was good. I thought it was fine. I mean, it wasn't terrible. If it was still there today, I'm sure people would ride it. And I don't think they didn't get rid of it because it was bad. I mean, maybe they would eventually, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They had a lot of issues with it.
It's on it never officially closed. It's on hiatus.
So it's coming back any minute now. I mean, the track's still there. They might as well just
I mean, it
fire
could,
it up
could
again.
come back. Just like Light Magic is also on hiatus, by the way. So
No,
okay.
hope not.
so that's why I get worried when people say Fantasmic's on hiatus. I go, uh-oh. Is this
Yeah.
is this like a Light Magic hiatus? You know?
Yeah, you get a little PTSD. I got that. Yeah, that definitely is something like when I'm sure that when the Nemo subs were on hiatus, you guys were probably like, "Oh, that's over."
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well, I did. I was able to ride, and I covered this in the first book. 'Cause we actually have 2 volumes. Did ride the last classic submarine. The last set of guests to ride. I was in that sub. I was riding.
Really?
I was sitting right next to Tony Baxter, and we did that. And then, of course, by the time Nemo opened up, I was gone, but I was back to just being a pass holder.
Gotcha. You know what? You just name dropped Tony Baxter, so I can't let that go. When I was looking around and I looked at your book, so the book is there are 2 of them, as you said, 2 volumes. Cleaning the Kingdom, Insider's Tales of Keeping Walt's Dream Spotless, which I love that title. When I click on this, I guess it's not this one. When I click on this image, it showed me this back of the jacket.
The back
and
cover,
this,
yeah.
Yeah. Tony Baxter, Disney legend. How,
Yeah.
what? I'm floored. You guys have so many connections, it seems like, to Disney Imagineers. What was it you riding that last voyage and you talked to Tony and you guys become best friends, Ken? Is that what happened?
No,
Like,
no,
how do you have these connections?
that goes back to that goes back all the way to before I was a cast member. So yeah, the story. But I was 16 years old, and I had been watching Splash Mountain be built for 2 years, longer than that, and I was pretty obsessed with it and wanted to be the first guest to ever ride it. And the long story short is, ended up meeting Tony Baxter and the show producer for the attraction, Bruce Gordon, and had some long chats with them outside the attraction. And then one night when they were starting to just really do cast member previews for it, not testing, but just like, okay, we're ready to just get cast members to ride this before we start opening it up to guests. He and Bruce Gordon snuck me and my friends onto the ride. So we, the culmination, when you're a 16-year-old, a couple years is an eternity. So it was the culmination of that, and got to ride. And we've been in contact ever since. And, unfortunately Bruce Gordon passed away, but still in contact with Tony. Yeah.
Well, and again, looking through your episodes of the Sweep Spot, you guys talk to a lot of different folks. So if you want to check out more about it, it's thesweepspot.com. Here's I have it right here. So here's a look at the website. And you guys have your books available in there, of course, and then and your podcast as well. But I want to ask you, Lynn, because you guys have gotten to interview so many cool people that make the magic. Is there one that is this? And maybe this is a cheesy question. I apologize in advance. But is there one that's like your favorite that you're like, this is the one you tell everybody about, whether they know who it is or not?
Oh, that's a hard one. There's so many. One of our first biggest guests we had was Rolly Crump. That was a while back, and that was kind of how he was able to write the foreword for the book, because we got to know him through that. I don't know. I don't want to name drop all these people, but these are some of the episodes you can go back and listen. We've had Bob Gurr on like 4 times. We've had Tom Morris, Garner Holt. We've just a bunch of, I can't even remember them all. We have 265 episodes right now. Or no, 365.
Yeah.
So one for every day of the year.
300. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's right. You can wake up and listen to us every day of the year. There's no excuses to not do that.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that the forward by Raleigh Crump on there, and again, just what a flex! You've got that on the front and the Tony Baxter blurb on the back, and I was just like, what the heck? So what came first? Ken, was it the podcast or was it the books?
Well, Lynn had started the podcast, and he started it without me. Because I couldn't commit to it at the time.
Right.
And then eventually there was a spot open to be his co-host. I like to joke that it's a special guest star. I'm a special guest star, kind of like the Heather Locklear billing she gets on any show she's on. Special guest star. So, and I've been a special guest star for years and years now, and always wanted to write a book. And after we were doing the podcast for a while, Lynn's like, we need to write a book. And he was right, because nobody had ever, everybody talks about how clean Disney parks are, but nobody ever explained how or why. So we decided we're going to do it, and we're going to include all of our personal, most of our personal adventures that we had along the way, and sprinkle those throughout the book. So it's really a love letter to Disneyland Custodial. And of course, Disneyland Custodial is the genesis of all Disney Custodial. So it was one of the Disneyland managers that went and started the department at the Magic Kingdom. And for every Disney parks, every Disney resort site since Tokyo, Paris, on and on, they've taken from Disneyland Custodial. They've taken a training and expertise and things like that.
So let me ask you this, and did either of you guys ever go, because of what you just said, and that being kind of like the beginning of Disney Custodial, did either of you guys ever go to Tokyo or any of those places when they were opening up and work with any of those folks, or not really?
No, I wish. Yeah.
we weren't involved. We weren't the people that were involved with that, but we did talk with the people who had those experiences. We've talked to some of the people involved in opening up other Disney sites, and we've had them on our podcast, and we incorporate them in our book. Especially there's some of that in the second volume, which is it's Cleaning the Kingdom, Night, Day, Past, and Present. We go all the way back to the beginning. I mean, Chuck Boyajian's a Disney legend. He's the guy who was the original head. He's got a window on Main Street. We talk about him. We talk about his successor, Ray Sedejas, who we've had on the program multiple times, and that's always a good time. So, yeah.
I'm sure you guys have a lot of stories in the book, and I have not read the book, but I've ordered it. So, I mean, but I do want to read the whole thing, but I was just so anxious to get you guys on. But I'm sure you guys have a bunch of stories about different things that have happened to you in the parks and all that. But Lynn, I want to ask you, because I feel like, being custodial, you've probably been all over those parks. Who was like was there ever a famous person that came into the park that you saw and then like were just in awe that you were in their in their like area? Because for me at Disney World, it was Tim Burton. Tim Burton came and rode the attraction that I was on, and I was just like, I mean, and that was back when Tim Burton was the man. Not that he's not anymore, but I'm just saying, like, that was a big deal. But in California, I gotta imagine that that happens all the time. So is there one again that you can isolate that was like somebody that you saw?
So I'm a big U2 fan of the band, and um, I was gonna. They were in town, and I was gonna had tickets to see them at the pond. They call it the pond at the time. It's the Honda Center now in Anaheim, and I was on the hub sweeping, and I looked over and saw Larry Mullen Jr., the drummer for U2, and I'm a drummer myself. I've played for many, many years, and of course, as a cast member, we can't approach them as much as I wanted to, but at least I got to see him up close and walk by, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Ken, do you have a similar story, or I mean, was it the Edge or Bono or Adam Clayton who was?
I go more excited over what I call Disney famous. You know, one time I was working in Adventureland, and I look over, and there was John Hench, who was looking at color swatches, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's John Hench, you know. And so I was able to approach him and say hello, you know. So there's some of that. I mean, we do write about some celebrity encounters. I was about, you know, I would have been squished up against Michael Jackson if it weren't for the park manager who was my boss's 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 boss. You know, he was squished between us. There was one of those situations where Michael wasn't in disguise and he was being mobbed by people. You know, that was an experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so last question I have for you guys is about Disney now, and I don't know how frank you want to be about this because again, I know you guys have a lot of friends and like in high places here, but do you feel like that the genesis of the cleanliness of the parks, because that used to be the banner thing about a Disney park is how clean, pristine it was. All those stories of Walt getting up early in the morning, coming around, pointing, you know, leaving notes on curbs and things like that about what needed to be picked up and cleaned up. Do you guys have any thoughts on where they are now in the Disney parks and what things they need to do to be better? And Lynn, I'm going to unfortunately throw you under this bus first and ask you what you think about that.
I think that there's more challenges now that they had that they didn't have back then, and even that we didn't have back then. People, their manners have changed over the years, and unfortunately, that reflects on the custodial, and it makes it harder. I will say that I think people in the 50s, 60s, 70s were a little more considerate of littering, if that makes any sense. So I will say they have a bigger challenge, but I will say that they still do an excellent job, and they still probably definitely the cleanest parks, theme parks you can go to anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. Ken?
Yeah.
It takes, you know, Disneyland Custodial was built up over decades, and it takes a lot of hard work to do that. It takes instilling in people a sense of dedication and ownership and that sort of thing. And unfortunately, you can tear things down or take them down a notch pretty easily compared to how hard it is to build them up. We've heard that copies of our books are on the desks backstage, and the first book especially is kind of like a textbook, you know, in some respects. If you want to know, you know, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You know, you don't need to change things just to make a mark. But there's a lot of turnover, and that makes things difficult. And a lot of that is beyond the control of custodial management. So, you got to find people, you got to train them, and you got to keep at least some of them. Institutional memory can be very, very helpful and important. You got to equip them and let them do their thing. And they still do a really good job. There's always going to be something to complain about, always going to be something to say, this could be better, but there's a great legacy with Disneyland Custodial, and we were very proud of being part of that team, and we hope that the tradition of excellence continues.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. I would just ask you guys this too. I still have the tendency when I'm in a Disney park, because of the training I had with Traditions 1 and 2, to try to pick up trash when I see it. Like, honestly, like I still do that. Like, do you guys still feel like when you walk through the park, you want to like pick up stuff when you see it?
Yeah, I really do. Yeah.
I was doing that before I went to work there. We'd be waiting in line for Splash Mountain over and over again. People would leave their cups inside the barn there. My friends and I would collect all that, and just, whereas the cast members working that attraction might have been irritated with us because we just kept riding that same attraction over and over again because we'd done everything else in the park a million times already. Instead, when they saw that we were actually helping, they started to like us. And then they must have gotten word back to casting, because when I went to apply there, I ended up in Custodial. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Somebody in the chat just said, I pick up trash too, and I never worked there. Because we're proud Disney fans when we go through the parks. Somebody in the chat was saying, what do you guys think of the ride breakdowns? Because it does seem like they're a little bit more. I mean, obviously you guys were custodial, not maintenance, but I mean, when you guys are doing your park news, a lot of time you guys will probably talk about stuff like this.
Well,
I have noticed there is more, yeah, but
yeah,
I think
think about the operating hours. I mean, it's the park operates a lot more hours than it used to.
Yeah,
that's just the bottom line. Is you used to have an off season. You used to have the hours used to be 10 to 6. On certain weekdays. Maybe some early entry, maybe some private parties afterwards, but. Now think about how much it's open year round. Every day the hours are longer. So there's a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although I think I would probably start to riot if they closed at 6 p.m. I mean, it's already bad enough when there's a hard ticketed event and I have to get out of the park. So, Lynn, were you going to say the same, or did you have something different?
No, yeah, it's about the same. Yeah.
I mean, that's a great point, though. That's something that I don't usually think about, is that, there used to be more time for the third shift to clean the parks and to replant things and to fix things and do the maintenance on it. So that is probably something that becomes a problem. And one other thing I was going to ask you, Ken, is you were talking about how, like, kind of the legacy of, like, keeping cast members there. I feel like the turnover, like, you guys were there for a good chunk of time. And I think this is what you're alluding to. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like the turnover today is pretty fast, especially, in those roles. Whereas, like, I probably would have stayed for years. But, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, how many people? Well, the lockdowns reset everything. When Disneyland was closed a lot longer than the Florida parks. And a lot of people were let go, and a lot of people just simply found other opportunities. When you have people in facilities, the maintenance personnel, not cleaning, the actual the people who the electricians, the plumbers, the mechanical people, when you have high turnover there, it's going to have a negative effect, unfortunately. So. And how many of those people moved on during the lockdown?
Yeah, true. Well, I told you guys we'd only keep you for a bit, so I appreciate your time. Any final thoughts? I want to start with Lynn. Any final thoughts that you want to share, or anything, and then we'll go to Ken afterwards.
Well, I just wanted to say, if you want to hear more, of course, you can find our podcast, The Sweet Spot, anywhere. Our books, you can get autographed copies on our website, thesweetspot.com. We have T-shirts and everything there. But yeah, thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Ken.
There's audio copies of the book as well, and of course it's on Kindle and all that. So whether you like paperback, audio, or Kindle, you can get it any of those ways, both books. So we hope, there's information in those books that you don't find in any other Disney books. So maybe it'll fill in some gaps, even if you've got an extensive library. And I want to thank everybody for listening to us talk about ourselves and join us and find us on the podcast.
Well, and if you could, just please tell Tony Baxter I've been trying to get him on the phone. I keep going to voicemail. I don't know what the problem is there. So
you and a lot of other people.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for being on. Keep up the good work, and thanks for your time tonight. We'll be right back with more on our conversation with our panel about the best snacks at Walt Disney World. So please stay tuned for more ParksCenter.
Now on WWNT TV, it's Boxed In. Boxed In is a casually chaotic show featuring WWNT personalities Eric Morton and Jill Diffendahl, unboxing Disney merchandise and viewer packages, along with a few friends and a bossy little Pomeranian. So smash that like button, subscribe and comment, and keep up with the new Disney merchandise releases, seasonal releases, festival merchandise, limited edition merchandise, wishables, pins, and more. Join us Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern on WWNT TV.
Welcome to Deep in the Plus. Each week, join host Rob Whiteside as he and a panel of Disney superfans take a different movie or TV show from the Disney Plus catalog. They'll tell you its history, details, and give their review, so you'll know if it's worth your time. Current shows, classic movies, and everything in between. Watch Deep in the Plus live Wednesday nights at 9 Eastern for new episodes, or catch Deep in the Plus anytime on YouTube on WDWNT TV.
Welcome back to ParksCenter. Thank you guys again so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. If you haven't checked out Deep in the Plus, please do. It's also on this channel, WDWNT TV, so we appreciate it. We're on live every Wednesday night. This coming Wednesday, Kamila will be joining us. We're going to be talking about some new shorts on Disney Plus, so please join us. Also, again, a big thanks to Lynn and Ken for coming on and talking to us a little bit. But right now, these folks are hungry. We're going to talk about some snacks, because why not, right? Like Disney snacks are a big part of your trip, and also whenever you guys and everybody on this panel has had it, have somebody come to you going, hey, I'm going to Disney World, what should I not miss? Snacks, like you got to tell them about the snacks, and a lot of people have different thoughts on what is iconic, as Stephanie would then say, drink, or exactly, or things that are, just so good that you don't want to miss them, or you get them every single time you go. So I've come up with, as we've done in the past couple of weeks here, a little poll of the ones that I think are probably your standards. So if you're in the chat with us, please continue to chat along with us. Pound 1 for Dole Whip, pound 2 for Mickey Bar, 3 for churros, which is really more of a Disneyland thing, I guess, but it also feels like a Disney Parks thing. Mickey Pretzel 4, corn dogs 5, something else 6, and if it's something else, tell us in the chat and we'll talk about it. We'll figure out if that's a thing. But I asked everyone on the panel to come up with a couple of their must-do snacks, the things that they tell their friends you have to do. And I think this is timely because we've got the Disney dining plan coming back in January of 2024. And so people were going to be going, all right, here's my table service, here's my counter service. What's my snack? And it defines snack as something that is either just or it says snack or non-alcoholic beverage. So sorry, Shannon, we're not going to be talking about the Kungaloosh or anything over here. Let me start with you, Shannon, because you were the one that said today, what are the rules? And like I said, I think that the rules are it has to be something counter service, because when we did the snack the March Madness, which was kind of like best food item at Disney World back in March of this past year. A lot of them were like the fried or grilled cheese of the cheese on fire at Wine Bar George. That's not something you're just going to roll up and trade a snack credit for. So, what's on the top of your list, Shannon?
Oh my gosh. Should I start with the top or save the best for last? I have
Oh, save
four.
the best for last for sure.
Okay, great. All right, I'll start with something that I think is probably could fit on this list that you already have there, Rob, and that's the Cheshire Cattail from Cheshire Cafe in Magic Kingdom. It's almost, I'm not sure if it's puff pastry or croissant that's spiraled up with chocolate and icing, and it is delicious. It's very much like a chocolate croissant. So that is one classic Disney treat that I always must get when I'm in Magic Kingdom. You can also get another variation from it in Animal Kingdom. It's called a tiger tail, I believe, or ticker tail. Next, Disney World is hotter than the devil's armpit, and sometimes you need a really refreshing drink. And the Kakamora float is amazing. It is the coconut Dole Whip that is in pineapple juice and I believe blue curacao with a little Kakamora a cake pop, and it is to die for. I highly recommend it every time, especially on a brutally hot day. Yes, there it is in all its glory. And look how adorable that cake pop is. I don't even like cake pops, but I love it for the novelty of it. Number three, or I guess if we're working our way backwards, number two is going to be a true underdog. And I believe you can only get this in Animal Kingdom now, but it is corn on the cob. That is a fresh grilled corn on the cob. And I love junk and Disney snacks as much as the next person, but when you get 5 days into your trip, your body's, I need a vegetable, a starch, a fruit, and
No,
and
no.
they used to have this at Liberty Square Market, and that's where I used to get it. And you can season it yourself. They had all sorts of seasonings. Oh my goodness,
All
really
right.
good.
So hold your number one. Hold your number one.
Okay,
We'll come back around to that one
okay,
because you said that was your number
great.
two, right? Yeah. Hold your
Yes.
number one. We'll come back around to that one. But
Okay.
the funny thing is that the corn, like Mexican street corn especially, is a big, huge deal at Disneyland. Like you can't, like they can't keep enough of it throughout the day. I remember running around with my wife because that is her favorite thing. I'm not the kind of person that goes, you know what, I need a vegetable. I'm the kind of person that says, you know what, I'm running out of time and I've got a lot of snacks to eat. I'm that guy. So it is interesting that you're like, I just need. Can I get a carrot up in here? Can I just do something that's like okay to eat? But I definitely get that that's a thing. The cattail thing, I think you're right. I think that's one that probably should have been on my list over to the left, but because a lot of people do it, but I feel like it kind of comes and goes as opposed to like you can. And the other thing that I didn't put over here was popcorn because I feel like popcorn is popcorn until they learn a way to make it Mickey shaped. Um, I think
I think
then
they
it's
do in
That would be
just
Japan,
awesome.
don't they?
it's just popcorn exactly. All right, Stephanie, you're up next. What you got?
So I'm with you. I like the Dole Whips and the Mickey bars and the popcorn. I think that's always kind of just a must have when you're there. However, I didn't put it on my list because you can find these things in the grocery store now. You can find Dole Whip and you can find the Mickey premium ice cream bars. I think we talked about that with Allison last time, where to find them. So you can get them outside of the park. So the ones that, if we're inside the parks and I have a friend with us that has never been before, this is what I'm running for. Okay, so in Magic Kingdom, of course, the cheeseburger spring rolls, and sometimes they switch those out. There might be a pizza spring roll or something like that, but that's just different. And you can grab it and run and eat and stand in line and that kind of thing. At Animal Kingdom, my lumpia, I wish it had done better on March Madness, but I love that. I think it's just a nice, refreshing, sweet thing to eat as well. Shout out to the Night Blossom over there, with the boba. And also staying in Animal Kingdom, the street tacos actually are very good. And, again, something that you can just grab quickly and run to Expedition Everest and eat you know, on the way. But if I'm going to save a snack credit, if I'm using my dining plan, I'm going to save them for the eat around the world at whatever festival I'm at.
Fair. Have you? Did you just give us your whole list, or did you hold one?
I held one.
Okay, good, good. What was really funny because you didn't get to see it because it was off camera is when you said street tacos, Allison went like, like there was like this visual like what street tacos you say?
Yes,
All right,
they're very
yeah.
good.
You know what? And the March Madness thing too. A lot of the stuff that was there were like deep cuts on menus, which is why again I didn't want it to be anything that was like table service that you'd have to go and sit down. Because to me, if you're getting a snack is an on the go. A snack is a real quick
Right.
little thing that you get, not a like let me go over to Animal Kingdom and go to Kidani Village and get a table reservation for Sanaa and sit and wait for them to serve me to get bread service. Love bread service, but to me that's not just a snack. That's a journey. It's an experience. So Allison, oh boy, what you got?
Well, I was already sitting up when Stephanie was talking about lumpia because that is like number one on my list, or number two because I'm going to save my number one for later. But my favorite thing is to eat like a nice meal at Tiffin's and not have dessert, and then like go on a ride or two, and then go and get the lumpia, which is like just I get it every trip. It's absolutely delicious, and it's like so satisfying because it's like warm but also sweet, and it's just like a great like evening dessert. It's perfect. So second that. And so when you said the tacos, I was really excited because I like tacos generally, and I have not had those. So that's now going on my list. And the second thing is also sort of Kingdom related, and that's at the Mara at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I really like the zebra domes. In general, like if I'm going to have something substantial, I want it to be sweet. So my list is more sweet than savory. And the zebra domes are great. They're the perfect like portion, I think. They're delicious. They are like themed. They're really cute. And what is this? Oh, he's got the Mara menu up. Anyway, I have the one warning I will say is that they are not always consistent. So I've had them where they're like really, really good, and other times where I'm like, this isn't quite the recipe I remember. But in general, like these are foolproof. Even when they're a little bit less than the best version, they're still delicious. And I'll save my last one.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I didn't make a list, but I will say that there are some things that I love, including the Night Blossom. Like, you know, Stephanie, you talked about the Night Blossom. Night Blossom. I don't know why. Like, I have a 7-Eleven near me, so we have Slurpees. We have Slurpees right down the road here. But when you like have the different types of it and the boba at the bottom, my daughter is a vegan, and we were like, "Oh, are those boba balls made of gelatin?" And they're like, "No, they're vegan." And we're like, "Are they?" And they're like, "Get the book." And they had a book on a shelf, and they pull it out with all of the ingredients on it, and showed her that it was a vegan, like a vegan thing. So she was like, cool. "Yeah, give me that. Let's have that." So again, I love that one. There are a lot of people coming at me about the reason that I like popcorn is for the buckets. The truth is, and we literally talked about this tonight, is that like I don't remember the last time I had just straight up popcorn from a Disney park, because I have them put it in a separate container and I hand it to my daughter. Like, this is mine. You can have this. Yeah. So if they can find a way, and you know, they did kind of expand on that. There was that one year, and I showed this last week, where they had the sipper from the Haunted Mansion. They had the 3 hitchhiking ghosts. They had the sipper, and they had the popcorn bucket, and the third one in California was called a beignet holder. And in Disney World, it was called a powdered donut holder, which is just another way to say we needed one more holder, and we decided to just randomly do this. But they've done that before, like with the Kylo Ren fries. There was it was the French fry holder. I'm like, no, it's still a popcorn bucket. You just decided to say French fries go in it instead. But yeah, so and you can look over at the poll. It looks like the Dole Whip is winning. So let me ask you guys about this. Dole Whip, I assume when we say Dole Whip, we mean the pineapple Dole Whip, but over the years, there have been so many flavors of Dole Whip. I know that we talked about the Garden Graze last year. The prize was lime Dole Whip. They do lemon Dole Whip, especially at the at Disney California Adventure. They have a whole stand about the Abominable Snowman and the the lemon Dole Whip, and like it's lemon. And then they also have coconut, which I think Shannon you mentioned. But let me just go around real quick. Do you prefer the traditional, or is there another flavor that is your favorite, Stephanie?
I prefer traditional, but I actually really love the lime. We got that in February and it was really good.
Okay, Shannon?
Yeah, I feel like the other flavors actually work well to the point where I can't really pick a favorite, but if I were to go up right now and I would get the classic pineapple twisted with vanilla.
Ooh, okay. And Allison?
Same. That's what I like. The classic pineapple twisted with vanilla. But in general, I feel like Dole Whips are a little bit overrated for me. So it's not an every time thing, and it's something. I don't know. It's. I'm sorry. Everyone's gonna hate me, but everyone's gonna really hate me when I say what my first favorite snack is. So I'm just starting here.
Oh. Ease into it.
Wow. Okay, that's fine. You know what? For me, honestly, raspberry. I don't know why.
Oh.
I just, yeah. So they started doing it, I think, like with the Hey Hey cone and things like that, where they're like, we need there to be a different color to make the thing we're trying to make. And so that, like, I was just like, can I just have the raspberry? Do I need to have the rest of it? And the last time I was there, they had the raspberry one, which was pretty awesome. I have found myself with the dining plan, and we talked about the dining plan already, so I don't want to talk about that necessarily tonight. But when you have these credits, a lot of times you don't have, you're like, what am I even going to do? Because a lot of times those are the things you have left over. Those are the things you need to burn. Do we get any honorable mention for the stuff that you can get at like the Main Street Confectionery, like the Rice Krispie bars? I don't know.
The covered apples, the chocolate covered with the caramel and everything. Oh my gosh, I give those out as teacher gifts. I love those things. That's a traditional thing that we get every time, and I love the ones that are again highly themed to whatever time we're there. So the Mickey ones that look like Minnie Mouse witch hats and things like that. I love those. So yes, definitely grab one of those the next time you're there if you've never had one.
Teacher gifts. So
Yes.
So you buy them at Disney World,
Yes.
and you bring them back home, and you use them as teacher gifts.
I'm crazy because I bubble wrap them and I bring them home for my children in my carry-on.
By the way, that must be quite a conversation with your kids to go, oh, all of these candy apples, and none of them are for you.
Yes, we keep
that's
one.
Great. Again, any like store-bought or confectionery for you, Allison, that's an honorable mention?
My daughter always makes me buy, well, I guess there's two. She always makes me buy like the colored popcorn, like whatever they're celebrating. They all taste like kind of the same. And I never want to get it because like they think they're going to be sickeningly sweet. And then it's in the hotel room late at night and I'm a little hungry and she's asleep. And I'm like, actually, this is pretty good. But you eat like 2 handfuls of them and you're like really full. I don't know what they put in there, but they're like, it's a whole lot. And the second honorable mention is like going into like the Epcot, right? You can go into the pavilions and get snacks from around the world. And one of my favorite things to do is because I lived in Germany for a while is to go and get German chocolate. It's easier now to find it in like supermarkets. So it's like not as special, but like something about buying it from Epcot makes it feel really special to me. So I often will go and buy Milka Bar. Also a nice thing to have in the hotel room late at night. At least for me.
I swear, when you were saying Germany, I swear you were going to go caramel corn, which was, again, another one of those that probably should be on here with Shannon's cattail, is that, that's one that a lot of people talk about, it almost like a hidden gem.
We also haven't talked about school bread. So, right. Which is, I think also overrated, but.
Also overrated. Who was it in chat? Matthew Z said, is turkey leg a snack? Yeah, turkey leg's a snack, but it's, barbaric. And is that what you want on a hot day, is to like cozy up to one of those? I know that's one of those things. It's iconic. It's one of those things where everybody talks about it. And when I was thinking about this whole snack thing, I was thinking about, because I have a Wishables problem, I was thinking about that there was a set of Wishables, and one of the things was a turkey leg. There was a turkey leg, there were churros, there was popcorn, there was cotton candy, which again, cotton candy is kind of like the popcorn thing. Like, is it special? I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing you go, oh, you're traveling all the way to Disney World for your very first time. You've never been. Make sure you try the cotton candy. Oh, ooh, it's just fantastic. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, different strokes for everybody. Shannon, what's the one for you that's like the kind of the honorable mention if you were to go into like a store or something or a confectionery?
So the hot ticket item in my family right now is the Chippendale Snack Co. I had to look it back up. Crunchy, spicy mix. And they swear by it. My mom said she had to throw the rest of the bag out because she couldn't stop eating it, and it was too much. But that's the hot ticket item right now. So give it a try. I think it's pretty new.
Yeah, we always, but again, would go with that Rice Krispie bar because it's kind of like a Mickey bar, only it doesn't melt as long as you don't get the one that's covered and doused in chocolate. But I was looking up here, and Dawn said school bread was better in its original form. So I mean, the Kringla Bakery has the school bread, but they also have the Kringla, and then sometimes they'll do mixes of that one. So. I don't know. For me, I again, I'm thinking like mainstream. Like you have to tell somebody who's going, like, oh my gosh, if you come back without trying this, I will slap you in the face, like that kind of thing. And I hope that's your number ones here. I hope that's the one that you guys have. So, Stephanie, let's start with your number one. What's your number one that you've been holding back? That's the one you're like, this is a must do when you go.
Okay, so I know I said off the top that you should get something that you can only find in, Walt Disney World proper, not make it yourself at home. However, at Sleepy Hollow, they have the fresh, warm Belgian waffles that they make, and then they put this yummy Nutella on top and put all these different fresh fruits on top, and it's just mwah, it's chef kiss. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. That is something that we have to get every time we go, at least one time, usually multiple times. It's a great snack, but it's also basically a meal. Like you can use it as your brunch if you want, and it's large enough to share. So that's what my number one is.
And that thing is messy.
That's true.
You didn't throw that out. It is a nightmare. Not
Grab
as bad
a lot
as the
of wet wipes.
Yeah, exactly. Like we watched the Booty U parade from Sleepy Hollow, and we were like, I have to get this the chicken one, the chicken waffle wrap, and my brother-in-law got the other one, and by the end we were just like, it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere because I mean it is tasty, but it is so freaking messy. So just like
and it
disclaimer
melts
there
because it's warm. Yes, exactly. It's so good.
Okay, all right. And Shannon, what's the one you've been holding on to?
I hope
deep
everyone
breath.
is not disappointed in me because everyone was really rooting for me in the chat earlier. But when I was thinking about my number one snack, I recently had an experience where my flight got canceled, and unfortunately for me, I got stuck in Disney World an extra 2 days. But after being frazzled about the flight situation, I know, poor me. The first thing I need to do is eat my feelings. So I went straight to get this snack. And it is a baguette in France with butter. And I know that's going to sound really pedestrian, but it's really good quality bread. I get the half baguette size, which is probably like a 6-inch sub roll. And you get a crap ton of butter, and it is amazing to wash down with a glass of champagne. Try it.
Throw that in at the end.
You're not helping your bougie case at all. You're absolutely not helping that at all. I think that's hilariously funny because when we went up to DC, my daughter, we went to Panera, and again, she's a vegan, so we went in there, and she's like, you know what? Is it weird if I just get a baguette? Like, is that a weird thing? And so I'm carrying like these small sandwiches back to the table, and this baguette that's like a lightsaber, like all the way back, and it's like, this is what you're gonna eat? And she's like, yes, like, 19. She's not 5. She's like, yes, give me that. She looked like she was eating like a 5-year-old, but yeah, that's funny that's one of the things that you would get. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think the chat's gonna tear you up. I mean, bread is delicious. I don't know what gluten is, but I love it. Allison, oh my gosh, I got to hold on to something here. What is your number one?
everyone's gonna hate me. But this is honestly the advice I give, and it is not something that you can't get anywhere else, but it is life-saving. So we were talking a little bit earlier about like sometimes you really need a vegetable, and the other thing that happens is when you're in the Magic Kingdom and it's like the real feel is like 115 degrees, and you're drinking water, but you don't feel hydrated, and you like need something to absorb it. You need electrolytes. The best thing to eat is a pickle. They sell them in the bag. It is the absolute best snack, is what I tell everybody to get. It will.
Did you get the milkshake yet?
Fuel you.
What? I have to ask you this in all honesty. I have to ask you this in all honesty. Are you ready for this? Are you the house that hands out toothbrushes at Halloween? Is that you? Are you the ones? Is that you? I feel like that's you.
Try it, because I'm telling you, people have made fun of me for this and then tried it themselves, and then like, you were right, I was wrong, and I'm going to now do this every time I'm overheated in the Magic Kingdom and hungry at the same time. So I'm telling you, it is the best.
I don't like this.
Reach.
Okay. Looking over at our poll, like again, Dole Whip for the win. It looks like somebody in chat earlier was saying let's give some love to like churros, which again, I feel like churros are more of a Disneyland thing. Like if you're going to Disneyland, I'm going to tell you should probably do a churro. And maybe even like the corn, because again, that feels like a very Disneyland thing is to do that. But when my wife found Shannon the corn you were talking about in Animal Kingdom, she was like, and I'm just like, no, see, there's this place back here where you can get like candy that looks like animal poop. Why would you just get corn? I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me. But you guys live your best lives. But seriously, the criteria of you give people a recommendation and they're going to Disney World, maybe for the first time, and Allison, you're telling me that the thing that you tell them that they need to get is a pickle.
It's going to fuel you. It will take you several more hours through the park. It is 100% the best snack you could have. And I'm sorry, Stephanie, tell me I'm wrong from a medical perspective.
Pickle juice does have a lot of electrolytes. You're absolutely right.
See?
This is Stephanie's legal perspective, health style. So anyway, okay. That's I guess that's the thing. But so again, looking over to the side here, we're showing that the people think it's Dole Whip, and again, it's one of those things that it used to be you could not get Dole Whip outside of a Disney park, and they may call it something else, but it's not a Dole Whip unless it's in a Disney park. And there are some things like the Mickey Premium bars that now you can buy in the grocery store, but they're not quite the same, are they, Allison?
No, they don't. The chocolate is thinner. They don't taste quite the same. They're a little smaller. I don't know.
They're smaller.
It hits the spot though.
Yeah. Okay. I literally thought about for our panel tonight buying a box, but they were like $9 at Publix, and I was like, that's a lot for a bit. I'll probably have to wait for another time for that one. So thank you guys for doing that. Let me I'm going to go back around again and have you guys like do a wrap up of like your perspective of snacks. But I do want to say thank you to our WIGS members. We love our WIGS, the WDWNT Interglobe Society. Thank you guys so much for being members of our family. We appreciate it. If you are not already, you can go to find out more about it at patreon.com/WDWNT. And also, thank you guys for being with us every Sunday night in ParksCenter. We'll be back again next Sunday night at 9 p.m. Don't forget, Deep in the Plus, 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. this Wednesday. And then on Thursday, News Tonight will be back again. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being on the panel. Thanks for voting. I appreciate that as well. That's awesome when you guys are able to log in and share your thoughts with us, because a lot of times we're operating in a little bit of a vacuum here. Obviously, we're watching you guys in the chat, but it's nice to see you guys weigh in here and be able to see what you guys have on your mind. There was a lot of something else, and I can almost guarantee most of that wasn't a pickle. It wasn't. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. So, but you know what? I trust you guys on that one. So, final thoughts for snacking tonight, Allison?
I mean, my view on snacking is sustenance in between table service meals, or dessert. And so that's how I go into this. I don't usually go for like a meal replacement. It's usually got to either be sweet or something that's just like carrying me through. I'm sorry, this is like survival at Disney. That's why how I come up with pickle.
Yes.
But that's my
All right, Shannon.
The snack possibilities at Walt Disney World are endless. So leave no stone unturned. Leave a little space in your belly. Check the parks, check the resorts. You never know what you're going to find. There's so much variety out there. Good luck snacking.
Love that. And Stephanie?
We didn't honorably mention the Gaston's Tavern, the giant cinnamon rolls, and the LeFou's brew. And then I didn't give any kind of recommendation for Hollywood Studios, of course, blue or green milk. I'm a green milker myself, I guess. But also that has a lot of electrolytes for that, mid-afternoon refresh is that alien, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the alien punch at Woody's Lunchbox, and it has Powerade in it. And it is very refreshing and nice. So try that.
And nobody said beignets.
No.
Now wait, we have two Louisiana.
You have to go.
I was about to say we have two Louisiana folks, so I guess you guys would be like, those aren't beignets. But again, at Disneyland, that's a big thing, the Mickey-shaped beignets. But to get beignets, you kind of have to go over to Port Orleans French Quarter, which I love beignets, but they just don't travel. So if you're into that, you can go get them there. But I still stand strong to the fact there are, like you said, Shannon, there are numerous places that you can go and get snacks. But if I'm sending somebody and it's the first time they've ever been, I'm always going to say, you know, do yourself a favor and get a pickle. Exactly. No, never. And also, nobody said the egg rolls, the egg roll cart. That's another one that nobody said. So, oh wow, okay, I see how it is. I would also say though that Dole Whip is usually the one that I'm going to be like, you got to do that, because a Mickey pretzel, while Mickey shaped, is still a pretzel, and and the premium bars, are what they are. But I still think the Dole Whip is probably number one. But let us know in the comments below, what you guys think. We would love to hear from you at all times. And again, don't forget to join us again next Sunday night for ParksCenter. If you are a Wigs member, we have a post show for you right after this. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for everything tonight. We appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Perfect as always.
As always.
Love that.